The day I froze on stage and my community saved me. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. 300 faces stared at me, waiting. I was completely, utterly frozen. Let me rewind. I'm Maya, and I'd spent 3 months preparing for this moment. The regional science fair finals. My project on urban bee populations was solid. My slides were perfect, and I'd practiced my presentation 100 times in front of my mirror. But standing there under those stage lights, with judges in the front row and my entire school watching from the audience, something in my brain just shut down. I'd gotten through exactly 2 sentences before the words evaporated from my mind. 15 seconds of silence felt like 15 hours. Sweat trickled down my back. I could see my teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, lean forward in her seat, concern flooding her face. The head judge glanced at his watch. This was it. I was about to become the girl who bombed the biggest presentation of her life. But then, from somewhere in the middle of the auditorium, I heard it, a slow, steady clap. Then another, and another. Within seconds, the entire audience was applauding, not mocking, encouraging. Someone shouted, "You've got this, Maya!" The judges exchanged glances. My hands were still shaking, but something inside me shifted. What happened next would change everything I thought I knew about failure, courage, and the power of community. The sound of that applause washed over me like warm water, and I felt my shoulders drop just slightly from where they'd been locked up near my ears. I blinked against the bright stage lights, trying to make out individual faces in the crowd, and that's when I saw them. Not as a mass of judgment, but as actual people. There was Marcus from my biology class, grinning and giving me 2 thumbs up. Sarah and Dev from the environmental club were on their feet. Even some kids I didn't know were smiling at me with this genuine warmth that made my chest feel tight in a completely different way. I took a breath, and it actually filled my lungs this time instead of getting stuck halfway. My note cards were damp in my hands, the corners softened from my nervous grip, and I could smell that weird combination of floor polish and cafeteria smell that every school auditorium somehow has. The microphone in front of me hummed quietly, patiently waiting. I cleared my throat and the sound echoed through the speakers, making me jump a little. A few people laughed, but it wasn't mean. It was the kind of laughter that says, "We've all been there." And honestly, that helped more than anything. I looked down at my first slide, the one with the close-up photo of a fuzzy bumblebee on a purple coneflower that I'd spent an entire Saturday afternoon trying to capture. I'd taken maybe 200 shots to get that one perfect image, lying on my stomach in the community garden, dirt under my fingernails, completely losing track of time. Remembering that moment, that feeling of pure excitement when I finally got the shot, something clicked. This wasn't about being perfect. This was about the bees. I lifted my eyes back to the audience and found Mrs. Rodriguez again. She nodded at me, just once, and mouthed something that looked like, "Just talk to us." So I decided to do exactly that. Then I got to the part I was most excited about, the solutions. I pulled up my final slides showing the pilot program I'd proposed to the city council, working with the environmental club to create pollinator corridors connecting green spaces. "Here's the thing that really got me," I said, and I realized I wasn't reading from my cards anymore. I'd abandoned them completely, just talking from my heart. We act like saving bees is this huge, impossible task that only scientists can handle. But it's not. It's about choices we make in our own yards, our schools, our communities. My voice was getting stronger and more passionate. The audience was really with me now. I could feel it. Even the head judge was smiling. "We're all connected to this," I continued, feeling the surge of conviction that pushed out the last remnants of fear. "Those bees? They're pollinating a third of the food we eat. They're supporting ecosystems. They're these tiny, incredible creatures doing essential work, and they need us to do our part too." The last words hung in the air for a moment, and then the auditorium exploded. Not with polite, encouraging applause, this time, with real, thunderous applause. People were on their feet. Mrs. Rodriguez was wiping her eyes. The judges were nodding and clapping. I stood there, breathing hard, feeling like I'd just run a marathon, and started laughing. I didn't win first place that day. Actually, I came in third, which was still way better than I ever expected after that rocky start. But here's what I learned, standing on that stage, heart pounding, voice shaking. then finding my footing again. The moments that terrify us the most are often the ones that teach us who we really are. I learned that perfection isn't what connects us to other people. Vulnerability does, passion does. Showing up and trying, even when you're scared out of your mind, does. That applause that saved me, it wasn't because I was doing great. It was because people recognized a fellow human being struggling and they chose to lift me up instead of looking away. Mrs. Rodriguez told me afterward that the judges commented specifically on my authenticity and how you could feel my genuine care for the subject. The head judge said that while my delivery started rough, the way I recovered and spoke from the heart was more impressive than any memorized speech. I kept that note card from my presentation, the one with damp, wrinkled corners, in my desk drawer. Sometimes when I'm about to do something that scares me, I take it out and remember that day. Remember that freezing isn't failing, giving up is. And that sometimes the most important thing isn't how you start, but that you keep going. So here's what I want to ask you, because I think about this a lot, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had a moment like that? A time when you completely froze, when everything felt like it was falling apart and then something shifted? Maybe it was someone's kindness or something inside you just clicked or you found courage you didn't know you had. Drop a comment below and tell me about it. I read every single one, and honestly, your stories inspire me just as much as I hope mine inspire you. Because that's the thing, right? We all go through these moments. Every single one of us has stood on some version of that stage, feeling like we're about to crash and burn. And sharing these experiences, knowing we're not alone in our struggles, that's what builds real connection. That's what reminds us that being human is messy and imperfect and absolutely beautiful. After the science fair, my environmental club actually did get approval for that pollinator corridor project. We spent the whole next semester planting native flowers, building bee hotels, and teaching elementary school kids about the importance of pollinators. And yeah, I had to do plenty more presentations along the way. Some went smoothly, some didn't. But I never forgot what that moment taught me about the power of community, about showing up authentically, and about giving yourself permission to be imperfectly human. You know what's wild? Marcus, that kid who gave me the thumbs up, he told me later that he'd bombed a presentation the year before and wished someone had done for him what the audience did for me. So he started the applause. One person's decision to show kindness instead of judgment created this ripple effect that changed everything for me that day. It makes you think about the power we all have to lift each other up, doesn't it? If Maya's story resonated with you, if it reminded you of your own struggles or gave you a little boost of courage for something you're facing, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I share stories like this every week, real and wholesome tales about everyday people navigating life's challenges, finding their strength, and discovering that they're braver than they thought. We're building a community here of people who believe in supporting each other and celebrating the messy journey of growth, and in reminding each other that it's okay to not have it all figured out. Plus, you'll get notified whenever a new story drops, and trust me, I've got some good ones coming up. There's one about a guy who accidentally started a neighborhood garden revolution, and another about a girl who found her voice through the most unexpected friendship. So yeah, subscribe, join this awesome community, and let's keep sharing these moments that make us human. Thanks so much for watching, for being here, and for being part of this journey. Remember, it's okay to freeze. It's okay to be scared. What matters is that you keep going. I'll see you in the next story. Take care, friends.